Hey crafty friends, it's Elizabeth from BBsButterfly, and today is Stampin' Up Sunday, and I have a special treat for you today. We are going to make this amazing little shaker, sort of. The little pandas kind of move around. We're going to make this card today using one of the Celebration stamp sets from Stampin' Up. From the 2018 catalog, which will be coming out next week. And when you order $50 worth of product, you get to choose a stamp set from the Celebration catalog, and this is one of them. And this one is called Party Pandas, and it's really super cute. So I thought I would go ahead and share kind of a cute little idea for how to use this stamp set. So what I have is, I have some Whisper White cardstock cut at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and it's a top fold. I have some Lemon Lime Twist. I have 2 pieces cut at 4 by 5 1/4, and a piece of Whisper White that is cut at 3 3/4 by 5. And then a scrap piece that is cut at 3/4 by 2 1/2. I also have some scrap Whisper White that we're going to be stamping on to create these cute little panda cutouts. You're going to need some Momento black, tuxedo black ink. I also have a couple of punches. This is a 2-inch punch, 2-inch circle. I have the balloon bouquet punch. I have some liquid adhesive, some scrap pieces of pattern paper from the Cupcakes and Carousel stamp pad, paper pad. This is retired, so you can't get it anymore. But like I said, I had some scrap that I want to use up. Some Stampin' Dimensionals. I also, unfortunately, do not have a 1-inch circle punch from Stampin' Up, but I do have my Martha Stewart 1-inch punch. You'll also need some stamp blocks. So I have these 2 acrylic blocks, an E, and it looks like a C. And so we will go ahead and get started. The first thing I want to do is go ahead and stamp out the pandas. Oh, I forgot to mention, you're also going to need some alcohol markers, and any colors will do. I think for this one, I'm going to use they're not the Stampin' Up. Stampin' Up sells some Stampin' Blend markers, but I am going to be using the Studio 71 alcohol markers. These are pretty close to Copics, and I actually really like these a lot. I haven't had a chance to really play with the Stampin' Blends, but I know how these react to ink, so I'm going to use these. And I think I'm going to be using a couple of different colors. Let's see, I have rose red, poppy red. I think I'm going to go for some yellows here, canary yellow and golden sun. And I know I'm going to need some natural gray, and then I think I want some blues, so I'm going to go for Oxford blue and nautical blue. And then I need some green, so I think I'm going to go for Sprout and apple green. I think those will work. So, and these are to color the little balloons. So I'm going to set all of my markers aside. Like I said, the Stampin' Up does have the Stampin' Blends. I do like them, but I haven't played with them enough to really know how they react to different kinds of inks. So I'm going to stick with the Studio 71, and I'll put a link in the description for where you can purchase these. Alright, so first things first, we are going to take one of the pieces of lemon lime twist, and we are going to put it on the inside of our card. All right, so again, this is the lemon lime twist. And then the Whisper White. All right. So there's that. And then we want to use one of the stamps. And I think I'm going to use this one right here with the bear holding the balloon. And I'm just going to stamp that in black, and then I'll color the balloon in a bit. These are fairly new stamps. Haven't used them a lot, but I was playing around and I do think they're really cute. So I think I'm going to stamp this right here in this corner. The other thing about these Studio 71 markers is that the black works really well with the Momento Ink. It's pretty close to the same color of black, so that you can fill in, like when this happens. See at the feet, it's not solid, so this black will fill that in really well. All right, so I'm going to set this aside to dry before we fill it in. All right, the next thing we need to do is to stamp a couple of the little pandas, so that we have something to work with. All right. The next thing we need to do is stamp some of the balloons from the stamp, and we're just going to stamp the balloon because we need some balloon pieces. So I'm just inking up the balloon part, and I think I'm going to stamp it probably 9 times. So there's that. Now we need to stamp our little sentiment, and for this we're going to use the little happy birthday. And I'm stamping it close to this end because I want to flag the other end. Just like that. That wasn't real straight, so let's try that again. There we go. Much better. All right, and that should be all for the ink and the stamping. Isn't that just the cutest little set? Oh my gosh. Absolutely cute. All right, so we are going to actually set these aside to dry before we start messing with them. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the piece of lemon lime twist, and we're going to, actually we're going to hold that for a second. We're going to take our scrap pieces and we're going to cut out some balloons. And the reason we need to do this first is because we want to place them on our card, and then we're going to cut some holes in this piece of lemon lime twist. So first things first, let's get our little balloons out. And I'm not sure which ones I like best, so I'm just going to punch several. And we'll see what happens. I only need 3, but I do like these. So kind of all just depends on your preference. I think I like that one there. And I think I'm going to go for that one and Let's see. Let's actually do this one. Let's go with this one. Alright, and we're just trying to find some placement because we have to cut some holes or punch out some holes in this green lemon lime twist cardstock. So we're going to go ahead and glue these down. That should be pretty good. Alright. Now you're going to take your 1-inch circle punch and you're just going to punch a hole. You don't want to get too close to the balloons because we're going to actually put the little pandas on here so that they kind of move around, and it makes it look like they're kind of holding on to the balloons. So just going to punch out. Alright, so there's our circles. Alright, the next thing you need to do is take some more of your scrap and you're going to punch a 2-inch circle. And the reason you need a 2-inch circle is because it's going to sit behind this, and you don't want, whenever the circle moves, you don't want to see any of the white cardstock behind it. So we're going to cut or punch some 2-inch circles. Doesn't really matter what kind, pattern. Let's go with this one. I actually kind of like the clouds. I think I'm going to do that, and then I think I like this yellow one. So it's going to look something like that. Alright, so now we're through with that. Okay, so now we're going to set those aside. And we're going to bring back our stamps here, stamped images, and we're going to color in any places on the black pandas that we see where the ink didn't quite get to. So there's, I don't know how well you can see it, but there's some little white spots that we want to fill in. Alright, now we're going to color in our balloons. Alright, so there are the balloons and the pandas. So now we need to cut these all out. Alright, so I've colored all of the balloons and the pandas, and I've cut them all out, and then I just kind of traced, or I ran the edge of the piece all the way around my, or I ran black marker all the way around, just to make sure that the edges were nice and defined. So now I have a bunch of balloons and I have some little pandas. And I decided not to use this one. So I'm going to use that on another project. Alright, so let me get my markers out of the way. The next thing we need to do is to adhere our little pandas onto these 2-inch circles. And we'll need to do it in such a way that the circle will still get to move. We're going to trim some of that circle off so it will feel natural, but when it moves around. But we're just going to take a dimensional and we're going to put it roughly in the center of our 2-inch circle. Put the cutout piece on the top, and then place our little panda like that. So now you can see he moves around. Okay? Alright, so now our three little pandas are on here, and they're floating. Of our little floating pandas. Like that, okay? But when they're moving around inside the cards and somebody's shaking them, you see that they kind of flip upside down and around and around. You can leave it that way. That's perfectly fine. But what I like to do is take some string and adhere it to the panda hand and the back of a balloon. So it looks like the pandas are holding the balloons, but yet they're still kind of free to float around a little bit. So first I'm going to kind of lay these out and see what colors I like together. Alright, that's kind of the scheme I'm going for, and I'm actually going to move that one up there so this panda's holding two sets of balloons. So it's kind of what I want to go for. And the next thing I need to do is get some string, and what I'm going to use is the silver thread from Stampin' Up. And I'm just going to cut pieces about 4 inches long, and you probably can't see that, but it's about 4 inches long. Alright, so I'm going to use a dimensional, and I'm going to stick the thread to the balloon under the dimensional. But I want it to be in such a way that it looks like the string is coming out from the little tie place on the balloon. It's not going to be perfect, but it's pretty close. Okay? Now the next thing I want to do is just kind of tuck the string behind the little panda. It doesn't have to be perfect, but how I'm going to do that is I'm going to use some Tombow on the end of my string, and I'm going to do it a little bit different. Probably should have attached it to his little hand before. That's okay. There we go. I just kind of put some glue on the back and then pressed it in place with my hand, or with my finger. Alright, and then trim the excess string off. Take the backing off of your dimensional. And just kind of place your balloon. Okay, I'm going to do the rest of these and I will be right back. So now I have all of the balloons connected and our little pandas can float about without flipping upside down. Some of the strings are a little bit long, but I think it adds to the fun. And here they are, just hanging out. So what we need to do now is to kind of cut down the circles so that they don't show. And all I'm doing is just kind of moving them about to where the edges might show, and I'm just trimming it off like that. So there they are. Got a little too happy on that one, but that's okay. Alright, now we need to adhere this to our card front. And to do that, we're just going to use some dimensionals. wherever the little circles aren't going to be. That way it can still kind of be free to move around. Better trim some of that off. There we go. Alright, and we can still move about. Be happy little pandas. Okay, and now we're going to stick it to the front, like so. See how our pandas still move around? I think I got some glue somewhere on that one. They move around, and then we take our little happy birthday, and I think I need to actually move, maybe. There's the thing about Stampin' Dimensionals, once they're stuck, they're stuck. We can stick it. I don't know. Alright, let's flag the end, see what happens. Okay. I bet that'll work, just like that. Okay. Actually, maybe just... I didn't think that out very well, did I? Let's cut this down just a hair.